Funny how time seems so elastic sometimes.
Please, don't kill my vibe.
Aren't you bored of being bored?
Don't you feel like time runs in circles?
Imagine you could reverse gravity.
Obviously has a lot of very visually striking set pieces. The singular set piece in that room and all the shifting dynamics were obviously incredibly well edited, well put together. The creative design was quite strong, but I thought that it really worked the best sort of on a thematic level and symbolic level in terms of how technology and social media concepts that are designed to connect people in theory have really only contributed to a sense of loneliness and solitary nature that sort of goes against the way humans should connect with each other and be with each other. And I thought a lot of the themes of the piece reflected someone that was either hyper into technology and was locked in with that world, was also trapped in their own mind and was unable to get out of that world and connect with more real feelings, more real interactions, and sort of always looking for a day to come later on, experience to come on later on that never actually arrived. So I thought the symbolism and the themes of the piece were incredibly strong and it really matched the mood and the visual themes that were blended with the score in particular. And I thought that the lead actress did have a strong performance given how little lines she ended up having and how much she had to reflect the themes of the piece just in her body language and performance. So I thought it was very well done.
Perfectly captures that sense of social isolation and how it can elongate the present moment to this sort of endless eternity. Really feel that sense of loneliness, the boredom, and the sadness that comes from that isolation. But also, what the film's really good at doing is kind of exploring all the strange places that your imagination can take you when you're trying to escape that isolation. And this is visually rendered really well. There's lots of really cool and experimental shots and camera angles and moves. Also, there's great details like how the main character's costume keeps fluctuating, which suggests this sort of deformation and compression of time in a really simple and visual, strong way, which is really clever. Oh, and the fact that she's being talked to by a TV, basically by a voice on TV, I think is a really clever metaphor for our relationship to screens and social media. And so I think it really perfectly captures the ways in which our relationship to screens and social media actually further isolates us and distances us. I think that lands with great emotional heft and is just really interesting and visually intelligent.
I really like this piece. It's so stylish. Futuristic setting is so well done. The mystery of the main character and her vacant look. Her expression is more like a virtual reality character who hasn't been filled with personality yet. It's terrific. I like the use of the flash of the inner eye moments, maybe representing mind's eye or the suggestion that the influence of visual media sits above the rest, especially for youth. There seems to be commentary in some smart dialogue where youth seems to be fixated on their burden of the pressure of social media. The voiceover asks the main character to imagine reversing gravity and imagine what the burden, living without the burden would be like. That's great. It's intriguing that the countdown is missing numbers, so are we to think that the message is that we are missing time because of the distraction of social media? I think it's an important social piece and it's really impressive. I really enjoyed that.
I thought that this was really cool. It's kind of right on the line between being abstract and realistic, and I felt like that was working really well for what to me ultimately felt like just a meditation on on our relationship with technology. And I know that you tie it more specifically into social media at the end, But yeah, it's a really interesting meditation on the way that our use of social media and our devices and everything sort of make us okay with being bored and with just, whiling away our hours on our own. And yeah, it's really interesting to consider, just how isolating this phenomenon that was meant to sort of bring people together actually ends up being in practice. I think that you did a really nice job with this, and I thought it was wonderfully inventive, well shot, well designed, and really, really drives your point home.
This was quite impactful where you figure out it's about social media, and they kind of relate it back to the invention of television that started the addiction of people. And if you think about it, it actually makes sense because without television, computers probably never would have been invented, or cell phones, or anything else. And we get addicted to things that seem to melt our mind and make us lonely without. We forget human contact, which is what this woman has done. She's forgotten how to communicate with other people. She's lonely in her own isolated room. I do think it's interesting that they use the color orange with the furniture and her jacket. I don't know what that symbolizes, but I did find it interesting. I do think it's very impactful for a short film to show what social media has done to people.
Makes us think about social media, how we relate, how we behave on social media, and how basically we withdraw from reality every time we use the internet nowadays. With this sci-fi style, the main character basically imagining things while she's alone, she's blocked alone in a room that could be also a spaceship, symbolizing how much far away we go with our minds when we just stay on the phone and we forget to live in reality. It's a great message, definitely a great message. I'm a great fan myself of social media related movies, and putting these contest into a more sci-fi universal background is very engaging, and especially the way the main character's trip is filmed is and edited together is quite compelling, and it gives you this sense of energy, but also it leaves you with a bit of depression in the end, with a final message when you realize that yes, we are probably throwing our life away.
It is so minimalistic. It looks futuristic, but also has some items from past decades. It looks like a time capsule. And then they pose a question asking us to imagine being weightless, and they touch a bit on the isolation and the social media addiction, how it plays out and impacts negatively on humans. It is just a brilliant job in 3 minutes, and it's so it gives food for thought and really assessing your own use of social media.
Retro futuristic, where there were a lot of kind of fashions or furnishings that reminded me of a kind of like throwback to a different decade, while also being advanced, being futuristic. So I thought they pulled off that really, really well, because I feel like that's something that often happens in technology and in life, where we kind of do almost like an homage to past decades. But then just like the concept in general, I thought was so, so well done. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fascinating. I liked how she kind of pulled it off with like not having anybody else to work off of, but with just her in this kind of like little screen. I thought it was really, really well done.
I loved the voiceover for the actress. I thought that she did a great job. The whole set, what they did, and some of the special effects, that was just really, really cool. especially where she's kind of looking into the TV and then they pull back so they show you all the mechanical parts of the television. I thought that was really awesome.